What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez. We're going to bring in our good friends, Bill Grundler and Chase Ingram from the Get With the Programming podcast here in just a second. Tommy, this is like where in the world is Tommy Marquez? You've been traveling. You've had, no one will be shocked to hear that you've had some travel issues. So I think from now on, you're just going to tell us when you don't have travel issues, and we'll just assume that you do have travel issues anytime you are on the road.
Oh man, Sean,
5 hour delay, right? 5 hour delay.
I was texting you yesterday, and they keep cooking up these excuses that, we flew into Boston, drove up to New Hampshire, drove to Amherst to go see my wife's college, drove from Amherst to Boston, flew Boston to Newark, went into Manhattan for the day, spent a day in Manhattan, flew out of Newark again, and that's where we hit some issues. They told us that first that the plane needed to have a tire swapped,
which I have never heard of before. I'm sure they do it all the time, but never heard that excuse.
Quick tire swap. They said it should take about an hour. Then another mechanical issue popped up that they could not fix, so that bumped us to 2 hours. They said they were still waiting on the mechanical issue, so it moved to 3 hours. Then they said that they actually couldn't fix the plane in time, that if they they needed to swap the plane out, and when in doing so, they also needed to find a new crew because our crew was going to time out. So they found a plane coming in from Austin at like 11:30 at night that they would then turn around and get us back into and have a new crew, new plane, and get us into Raleigh-Durham. We're flying we ended up leaving just over about 5 hours and 15 minutes later than our originally scheduled time.
That is crazy.
And then they delayed it a little bit when we were on board, because apparently 5 hours was not enough to get all the baggage on the airplane, because they forgot something.
Oh man, only you. Well,
I felt the pilot felt bad. He's like, "I'm really sorry, guys. Apparently they left some luggage on the jet bridge, and we're getting it now." And all of us are like,
"You had 5 hours, guys."
Yeah,
all right,
but
you could load every plane in the airport in 5 hours.
I'm here now.
Okay. Before we bring on at least Bill's here. Chase is going to be a little late, but before we bring on our good friends from the Get With the Programming podcast, I want to tell you about our sponsor for today, and that is Born Primitive. They got a great Black Friday deal package coming up on Black Friday, and right now, starting on, yesterday,
today?
Really, by the time you hear it, if you're watching this at one of our patrons, you can sign up right now to get early access to Black Friday deals at Born Primitive. If you're watching this, you can scan the QR code that's right up there, the upper left-hand part of your screen. And then you can also go to bornprimitive.com/pages/Black-Friday-VIP-2023. That goes until November 21st. Then Black Friday kicks off on November 22nd. You're going to get 30% off site-wide, free shipping on any qualifying orders, up to 70% off clearance items. They'll have a deal of the day, Wednesday through Sunday. You'll get a free gift with qualifying orders. Free item will just pop up into your cart if your order is a certain number. And then, if you miss Black Friday, no big deal, because then they got Cyber Monday coming. You're going to get 30% off site-wide on Cyber Monday, up to 60% off the Cyber Monday Vault, free shipping on qualifying orders, and a free gift with qualifying orders. So Born Primitive, Black Friday, they got some great stuff. I'm actually wearing my Savage Ones right now.
Ooh.
Love these things. Fantastic. You guys should get yourself a pair, and you can get them on sale at Black Friday. Remember, sign up for that early VIP access. You can scan the QR code in the upper left-hand part of your screen, or again, that address, bornprimitive.com/pages/Black-Friday-VIP-2023. And if you're in Europe, it's opposed to .com, it's .eu, Canada.ca.
Yep.
So, all right. Glad to have them on board. You know who else we're actually happy to have on board? Our friends from the Get With the Programming podcast. Let's bring in Bill Grundler. Bill, I'm very sorry. I don't have your music queued up. So I guess. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Dude, Tommy, you want to know what's crazy? I have had that exact same story. The
Really?
flat tire.
Seriously.
I'm like, dude, when they know that they messed something up really bad, they're like, okay, we got to go for the big one. It's the flat tire,
Right?
the hydraulic, we have a light bulb that's out. We need to get a new crew. Dude, you're saying all that. I'm like, holy shit, that's exactly what's happened on mine. I've heard the exact same thing. I'm glad and I'm very happy, I hope you don't mind, to pass the travel tourist torch to you, because that's usually my gig, and I'm glad that I do not have to wear that anymore.
You know what's funny about that, Bill, is I was actually thinking about like the times that this crew has all been together in the same location, and it took me back to the 2020 games. And speaking of travel, when you lost your rental car keys,
dude,
remember that? So Bill couldn't find his rental car keys, and we're up in these bleachers in Morgan Hill, right? And we combed that place looking for these keys. And you had to call the rental company to come get you a new set of keys. Like, I don't know where my keys went. And we looked every day for those things. Like got there early, stayed late. And then like a couple months down the road, like I'm at my home and I got a new backpack. And I remember, I got to clear out my old backpack. And I opened this one pocket, and in that pocket were Bill's keys. And I just sent him a picture. I go, hey man, I think I found your keys. So yeah, travel jinx. You're right. That was a new one.
It happens. It's all right.
Crazy.
It's all right. All I can do is smile, and that's good.
That's great. Well, listen, man, we're smiling because you're here. Always great to do these joint episodes with you and Chase. And the reason we wanted to have you guys on is because we've obviously talked about the changes that are taking place for 2024. I thought you guys did a really great job talking about them on the Get With the Programming podcast about, what this means from a programming standpoint now that we are letting more people into quarterfinals, and then there are fewer spots available for the semifinals.
Right.
And we said, hey, why don't we take a stab at like what could we do to program these first two stages of the season with nothing but repeat workouts? And we're like, who better to talk to than you guys?
We were fired up that you hit us up on it for sure. But the second you said it's like, yeah, let's do all the workouts that have been done before, all of a sudden I got this like these handcuffs that went and locked my hands together. I'm like, I can't do anything now.
Well, I didn't mean to do. Okay, so the ground rules kind of were. We got to pick. We can pick from any workout that's been done before, open or quarterfinals. You can modify them a little bit. For example, if it's a burpee and you want to make it a bar facing burpee, that's fine. If it's a box jump, you want to make it a box jump over or a burpee box jump over, that's fine. If it's a squat snatch and you just want to make it a snatch, that's fine. But you can't like totally rewrite the whole thing. So that's where we're starting.
That made it tough.
Really? Why?
That's why I said when I asked you, I'm like, hey, you're like, oh, you can do slight modifications, and I'm like, dude, that's for me. And this is like program nerd guy.
Look who's here.
And that guy too. He's a program nerd guy too.
Oh, wait, what?
Like if you open up the box just a little bit to go, you can change this. Then, dude, my creative juices get flowing.
Yeah.
So I told myself, and in fact, I told Chase too. I go, look, man, I can't modify anything. It's probably going to jack it up because of looking at the workouts and stuff. But like, I either have to go that way and be on that side of the line, or I got to go on this side of the line. So,
you're talking about being on team no modification.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And it was hard, man.
So hard.
Very, very hard.
You guys can still hear me, right?
Oh yeah.
You got me.
Okay.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
All right. Everybody can hear everybody else. Okay. Chase,
Except
we were just explaining we were just explaining the ground rules here. I can hear Bill fine.
Oh no, it's talking through his computer.
Oh, is he?
Wait, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
You sound good.
Tap the mic.
You look good.
Meh.
Oh yeah, he's right.
It says audio. Oh, jeez, man. Okay. Hold on.
Okay. While Bill fixes that, here's the question. Chase, I was trying to summarize briefly what you guys talked about on your podcast, but I really enjoyed the conversation. And if you guys haven't listened to it, I recommend you go and check it out. The thing I really liked about is, and it is, again, this is your wheelhouse, is the programming thing and how the changes have really made. They've really put even a bigger emphasis on the programming to make sure that you get this right, not only in the open, but also in the quarterfinals, since we are advancing, more people into that second stage. And then the qualifying spots, especially in North America and Europe, have now decreased.
Yeah. And I mean, it's always been an important piece. Now, Bill and I are a little bit biased because that is primarily what we focus on the entire time, where other people have, I would say, their specialties in different area, whether it's judging, leaderboards, stats, all that kind of thing. And the biggest issues we would see come up, and we saw that, and not even in terms of the balance of the programming, whether it was, did it find the right field or was it too hard for the field? A lot of the noise you would hear last year specifically was this easy to run in my affiliate?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have, say, shuttle runs, rope climbs, and wall ball shots for a 20-minute, 25-minute capped workout, like that's a hard thing to put on in a gym, let alone during class times with a selective group of people that make it when it was only the top 10%. And now that it's a 25%, you could 2 to 3 times X the number of people that may be qualifying into quarterfinals out of your affiliate. And that just makes it 2 to 3, and someone argue, say, like 5 to 10 times more difficult to do. So the programming is so important, because can you program something that's affiliate friendly, yet gets the right people to semifinals? And that's was always been the difficult part, especially in the Open prior to quarterfinals days from 2011 to 2018. Can you vet the field in 5 weeks to get them to regionals appropriately, while not excluding the 99.9% of the people that registered for the Open? It's a difficult task.
Okay, so the rules are this, and we can fudge these as we go along. I know Bill likes to. I know you like to test the limits of things.
I'm on the line, dude. I already got my stuff set. I'm good.
You're that guy that always needs to be on the rules committee, because I always felt like whenever we would do athlete briefings or anything for broadcast, Bill's hand would go up like, okay, what about this? And they're like, well, no. That's not going to happen. Yeah, but what if it does? And then you're like that.
If they say it can't be done, then are you allowed to do it? That's you got to be careful. That's all.
You're like the Lucas Parker of the media team.
Yeah,
just want to make sure. That's all. Just want to make sure. My hair's not red enough.
We figured that we would just take all the repeat, any workout that's already been done. That's what we get to choose from, and we can program. And I figured it would be, and you can fudge these numbers too, but 3 open workouts. You can have a back-to-back one in there, and then 5 or 6 quarterfinals. And you can cross-pollinate whatever you want. You can make subtle changes. And I think you want to just kind of I picked 3 for the Open. And I can start if you would like. These are the 3 I settled on. So And I think the criteria that was important to me was, like you were talking, Chase, does this really, muck things up at the affiliate level? Like, do you have to have a really complicated floor layout to make this happen? The second thing was, did I have fun with it? Right. The third was, or did I like it? The third was judging. Let's not try to overcomplicate this. You're obviously going to have to squat below parallel at some point during the Open. You got to be able to judge that. But pistols, things like that, that are a little harder. Let's try to avoid that.
I'm in team avoid pistols at all costs.
Yeah, no, same here. Like, I have no interest in sending my patella, 30 feet in front of me.
So the 180 pistol
here.
One's not coming up. That's
no.
Shoot, I got to cross that off. Hold on.
Hey, it's your thing. All right. So my 3 for the Open, in no particular order. 13.1. I was a huge fan of that. I thought that was a great workout. I want to change the burpees to bar facing burpees though, just so we don't have to worry about a target. That's pretty, and then my standard would be both feet have to be off the ground on the same side of the barbell on the jump, not 2 foot takeoff, not 1 foot.
I like that detail.
In the air on the same side. So you can't step over. That's it. So that you're not looking at, did he take off with 2 feet or 1 foot? We're both feet in the air before you cross the barbell.
Why is that so simple and so great?
I don't know, because that's how
you can jump off 1 foot, but as long as both feet are behind the bar on the same side.
Because you've seen those reviews where you really have to, they say a 2 foot takeoff. It's like, all right, well,
2 feet must be off the ground at the same time. Like
before you cross the threshold of the barbell.
Speed walk, cheat this really well.
Really well.
I like that. That's great.
So that was my first one. My second one was 16.4, which was the 13-minute AMRAP with the 55 deadlifts, 55 wall balls, 55 calorie row, and the 55 handstand push-ups.
The 55 chipper.
Yeah.
You judged me on that one.
55.
I judged you on that. And then my third one was 27, 21, 15, 9, 15, 5 of row for calories and thrusters. Because again, judging a rower, pretty simple. You either made it or you didn't. Now let's just look at the thrusters.
And you hate
those are my 3.
Yeah,
right,
what was that?
I said, and you hate people in general.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That was by far the most painful of all the open workouts.
That was bad.
Mhm.
Way to go. Just go ahead and just light people and dip them in that
I love that one.
pool of just acid and
Terror.
pain. And
That workout alone made Fran easy for me. Like going forward. You're like, oh, 2159
dude.
thrusters and pulls. Pff, that
Yeah.
used to terrify me. I was like, oh, it's
Mhm.
gonna hurt so bad. I'm like, wasn't 15.5.
no.
No, it was
Dude,
not.
that one, that was the only, even when I was like training hard and pushing real hard and going to really dark places, that one, and I think I did that one 3 times. I think I've told you this before, Chase. I did it 3 times. And the last time I did it, I was on the ground where my legs were cramping so bad I could not find a comfortable position for
Oh,
like
it's the
10
worst.
minute. Tried to pull them up, tried to straighten them out, tried to curl them. I'm like, dude, it's not fixing anything. Nothing is getting any better. Worse, worse. The most painful one, but I love that it's one that everyone can do. You get the people that are really good can go really fast,
Mhm.
and everyone else, it's like, okay, well, let us know when you're done.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know,
I'll be here a while.
There was
Yeah.
such a big difference between the first attempt and second attempt for me. Like I got so much faster in the second one, and I also felt way better. The first time, it felt like someone just lit me on fire and doused me in gasoline. Like it was a similar thing like Bill. Like I think Angel Forbes had to uh, like pick me up off the ground because I was like trying to get all my clothes off of me, like one of those things. Like everything is hot, and she took a
Hallucinating.
she took a photo of me with like my shorts halfway around my ankles and me just like bare chested, barefoot, like laying on my stomach.
why is that such an important thing that like you're hurting that bad and it's like I want to get my shoes off.
You know what
And
that's
take
called?
my
Get it
shorts off. I don't know why. Just get them off.
You know, there's a name for that.
Claustrophobia?
No, it's
Psychosis?
it's called the CrossFit garage sale.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that.
I just thought it was some primal instinct of like I'm about to die. I need to be in like my fetal naked state again. Before,
That might be it too.
Came into
Go
the
through
world
my
one way.
bacon.
I'm going
Yeah.
to go out the exact same way.
yeah.
Like that.
All right, those are my 3. So
Okay.
Quality.
okay. Any objections? Any
So the first one was what?
13-1.
It was okay.
That was the burpees, but I'm just going to be bar facing burpees now in the snatches.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That went up.
I like the bar facing burpee edition because it doesn't change the workout whatsoever. And it makes it easier to set up in an affiliate versus
Right.
let's go find a hanging target.
Targets
off
are a
the
pain,
ring
yeah.
and
You need a
measure
line on the
it.
floor and a barbell.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
I like that.
Yeah. So couplet, chipper, couplet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
I actually had 15. I actually had 15.5 in my programming as well as my. Should I just jump into it?
Do it.
Yeah,
Compare
go.
and contrast?
Go.
So I actually had 4 tests, but I had a 2-parter.
Mhm.
The overall like theme for me, I guess, is that if we're gonna be responsible for the broadest cohort being cut out, like 75% now, it should center around like the one thing that I think is like the most broadly applicable aspect of chaining is like work, like broad work capacity, absent of like super heavy or super skilled. Like if I'm coming out of the open, I want to know that you can work, like you can suffer, you can do the fundamental skills that are there, and you on any given day, like at your affiliate, you can put in a good effort and like beat your buddies type element. Like that's the stuff that I think is the meat of it. I had 22.2 as my first test. So that was the one up to 10, back down to 1 of deadlifts and bar facing burpees. I wanted to get a very simple couplet that everyone can do out of the end that I thought when everyone saw it, a lot of people are like, and then they did it and they're like,
It was
damn,
hard.
that was harder. That 10
Yeah.
minutes went way faster than I thought. And like, it's a workout that the elites will finish quick. And a lot of people will get capped. And so you're going to be forced to work the entire time. As someone in that mid-tier, even quarterfinals caliber to some extent, if you don't have pulling. And then for the second week, I actually that's where 15.5 came in for the rowing and thruster. But the format is going to be tweaked just slightly. So you have this is a 2-parter, and you have a 20-minute clock for everything. So there's is a 20-minute running clock. At 15 minutes, your first part is done, and the second part starts. And the second part is 11:3. So it is the 5 minutes of max reps at
Oh, yeah,
165.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I'm glad you threw that one in there, dude.
together.
so, and this
That's terrible.
This is something I wanted to leave
I
up.
take it back. You hate people.
Yeah.
This is something I wanted to leave up to the tribunal of sorts, right? Because I wanted something that kind of primes like a little bit of the leg drive and below parallel if needed. But for the elite athletes, at the 15-minute cap, is more than enough. A lot of people finish that in the 5-6 minute range. Even like mediocre people, I finished it in like 7:16. So I'm gonna have basically a 1-to-1 rest before I hit that. And the only thought I had initially, I wrote it down as going heavier, but I got rid of that because I think the comparison piece will be enough if you've already done some work before that. But I also thought, do we need to go? It was a mandated squat clean and then a jerk or shoulder to overhead. You could segment it though. So you could power clean it, front squat it, jerk it if you needed to. But I was debating just taking the squat out of it if need be.
Oh, just make it like just a clean and jerk.
Like
Just
Just
to
a
make
clean
it
and
clean and
jerk.
jerk, given what you just did.
Huh? That was kind of my thought.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, maybe playing with the loading, because I don't necessarily want a 1-rep max test in the open.
No.
I'm not the biggest fan of it, even though it's what usually keeps me ahead of Marcin and Heber on the leaderboard. But I don't know. I really liked that workout when it came out in 2011 because it felt heavy at the time, but you really like a lot of people got smacked in the face around 2 minutes in, and you're like, man, that 5 minutes went by so quick, and I didn't get nearly as much work as I thought. But it still felt heavy in the process. It was almost like, you had to put some work in. So I'll leave those two kind of tweaks open-ended because I feel like some people might want to. A lot of people who are worried about it, like the full clean, might segment it anyways. So if that's the point, do we really need the below parallel aspect of it? But then you lose the direct comparison piece, which I think is an important part of the open as well. If you're talking test retest.
Can I ask a question, Chase?
Yeah.
Why and to you, to anybody really? Why do you guys not like a 1-rep max in the open? I think I know why, but
Yeah, the body taking the test, which is over 100,000 people between men and women on the heydays, let's say 200, to put in a single modality test, whatever it is. So
Of any
not
kind.
of any
Yeah.
kind. So I'm not necessarily this like no lift whatsoever because it's lifting. We don't want that. It's purely single modality. And what that does is it opens up specialists to muck up the leaderboard.
yeah,
And it's the antithesis of everything we say about CrossFit is that we are not specialists. And so why are we rewarding them on a leaderboard with couple 100,000 people taking the
that's what I
test?
figured.
If you want to balance it out, right? And so here's the example I always make because everyone's like, I don't like that answer. You're dumb. I'm like, cool. Imagine the reaction of the world if we said, hey, 24.1 is 1,000-meter row time trial. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Like people would lose their minds. If it was a 1-rep max clean and jerk, we're like, cool. Or a 1-rep max thruster, fine, from the floor. Like nobody cares.
Yeah, it's the devil,
Right. So it's just pure single modality tests isolating a specialist. Now, if it's a 3-parter, lift, monostructural, max rep, whatever, great.
Yeah.
Balance that out. But when you isolate a single modality and exalt the specialists, because people could just walk off the Ollie platform from your barbell club at your gym and all 30 of them are going to be better than 95% of the people that are doing the open. Like, what are we really celebrating here?
And that's not that doesn't mean that a 1-rep max is a bad test. It's just where you're placing it. That
Right.
doesn't belong in the open.
There's a
You
place.
do that as you vet all of your CrossFitters. You have your general skill of fitness, and then as you get to your best, most fit people, then you can go and test them specialty stuff. Whether it's going to be your runs or your lifts or your, high skill gymnastics or whatever it ends up being. You can move those tests, but you got to move them either further down the line or really blend them up with something else so that it's not just, I'm a great lifter. I can't do anything else, but I can deadlift
Yeah.
And I did 1/3 of my score is like, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know everybody says it's lift. It's just because all we've ever gotten from a single modality is a lift. So
Right.
really all I have to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And
All right.
11.3 was scored as 2 separate movements too. So if you just got the clean, you got a rep,
Mhm.
and you also got a rep for the jerk as well. So there was a little bit of wiggle room for people that maybe hit a wall at some point. Interestingly enough, a lot of the top CrossFitters who were also good lifters ended up winning. So like Rich
Right.
won that event worldwide with 93 reps. So he did 45 squat clean and jerks in 5 minutes.
That event sucks so bad.
Yeah. And so I like that as like, oh, you want something relatively heavy. This is going to feel heavy 2 minutes in.
Mhm.
And then what kind of conditioning do you have to continue to move this well? And then the last work and that 20-minute time domain occupies the longer aspect of a test that I would otherwise get for like a big chipper.
Mhm.
Because every time I put a huge chipper on the board, it took too many programming elements for me that it was like,
Right.
I honestly looked
Yep.
at the first 2 that Sean had as well. But I wanted to have this last workout in because it's my favorite open workout of all time. And I'm actually have 2 tests from the same year. It's 15-3. So it is 14
Oh.
minutes. So the sweet spot, in my opinion, of that like time domain, that 12 to 14 minutes, you're going to work for 7 muscle ups, 50 wall balls,
Yeah.
100 double unders. And since I want it in the last week because I want that to be the transitionary week. We're like, all right, now we're going to throw a high level skill element into it. 7 is relatively manageable, at least for the front end for a lot of people who do have muscle ups. And then like 50 was always just that chunk. If it's like you can do it unbroken once, like, can you do it 2 times, maybe 3 times if you're a savage? And how much does it pull from you there? And I just loved that test, and it's never been repeated. I don't know why. And it was just like it's classic. I guess wall balls are if you consider them weightlifting, it's a classic monostructural weightlifting gymnastics triplet. And so you have a triplet, couplet, a 2-parter, so people feel like they get their money's worth. And all 3 are different time domains, ranging from sub 10 minutes to 20 and 14. So
All right.
I like that one. And dude, thank you for bringing 11-3 is
11-3.
one of my favorite ones of all time. Like, how many times have I said if I could get that back in there somewhere, or
Yeah.
a version?
Yeah.
I love that because I think it's very large loads, long distances, quickly.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it boils down to that. It's not just, are you the strongest guy? It's not just, can you do body weight air squats at a high rate, and you got short legs, so you're really fast at it. It's like, okay, here's a decent weight. I mean, it's really not that crazy of a weight. But you're right. At 2 minutes, it feels
Right.
like your legs are blown up. I remember talking to Jason Kalipa about this one. And he's like, dude, the first 3 minutes of that workout and the last half of it feels like 2 completely different workouts.
Yeah. And if you want a fun walk back in time, I believe you could the workout demo and video are both still up on YouTube. If you look at Pat Sherwood does the workout demo alongside Heather Bergeron. And he does it in Reebok Zigs. He does in the Reebok Zig shoes. And he at one point he hits failure on the clean.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So
All right.
That's good. That's good.
Bill, you want to go next since you showed up before Chase?
Yeah, I'll hop in. So I tried to go as pure as possible. I didn't change anything on any of the workouts. I kept them what it was. That doesn't mean that everything in my soul wanted to change certain parts or to kind of blend, kind of round the edges a little bit to make the pieces fit together a little bit better. But I was really wanting to make it, especially with this year's setup, is it's got to be easy for the affiliates to do. I really feel that if we want the mass community to be involved and to feel like that they can play, as well as still want to be able to showcase and see what our high level, elite level athletes are able to do, we have to have some sort of gateway style event. So I was really looking to those. So like Sean, I picked my first one as 13-1 also because I saw that as a gateway event. It showcases strength. There's a fitness component to it. It's a shit ton of burpees. I get it. I remember doing it. We did it with a metronome.
Mhm.
We set
I
that up
remember
that way.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So set up that one. I like that one. It was really hard to write down the actual weights that they wrote, because even though I didn't mind the guys' weights, the women's versions of those weights were killing me. Like 165 and 100 and 210 and 120 and then
Weird
135 and
weights.
75. Oh, that was tough.
Mhm.
But I really like that one a lot. I was wavering all over the place. I had the thruster row one that was in there just because I thought that was a good one, and ended up taking that one out. And I decided to go with another one that I saw as kind of a gateway, was 22-1. So a 12-minute time cap, 21, 24, 21, then 18, 36, 18, 15, 30, 15. It went pull up, double unders thrusters, chest to bar, double unders thrusters, and then bar muscle up, double
Yeah.
unders thrusters. And thruster weight went up, not heavy, but it went up a little bit. The skill went up. So again, you give the show of everyone is able to kind of gateway their way up. I think for the high level athletes, it would be super fast.
Mhm.
And for a lot of the other athletes, they still get that opportunity of, did I get my first chest to bar pull up? Did I get my first bar muscle up? And I think that's, I mean, other than all of the high ranking athletes and how well they did, and just, trying to imagine the speed that they can go at, the next tier of excitement is, did I get my first whatever? So I think that it's important to have those opportunities, but you got to work to get there. I think. Tommy, I like that one, the 7 muscle up one that you had, and I think the reason we haven't seen it is because I think we scared ourselves early by putting muscle ups first, because it's like, well, shit, I don't have one, so am I going to stand here for 12 minutes and
Well, and to do that with only 3 weeks is a
Yes.
hey, I couldn't do 33% of the
right?
I
program.
thought
So
about
that's
flipping
another
the order on that.
Oh yeah, that
And
would have been good.
just going in reverse. You start with the
Mhm.
double unders into wall balls, go the other direction. But
And then my last one, I wanted it to be, so we had a 17-minute to start, 17-minute cap, 12-minute cap for the second week. I only went with 3 events. I was debating going with 4 a lot. There were a lot of ins and outs of different events to put in there, but I went with 13-4. So 7 minutes, 3 clean and jerks, 3 toes to bar, 6 and
Yeah.
6, 9 and 9, 12 and 12, and you make your way up that way.
That's a good one.
So again, not super heavy. So I think you can get a lot of people that can try to work their way through it. Toes to bar, again, it's not a lot of numbers in the beginning if you're not good at them, but it's going to allow the athletes that have it to really put themselves under the gun. And it's a 7-minute set, so it's not too long that you're trying to get a toe to bar, and it's not too long that it's like, okay, I'm working in the set of like 36 and 36 right now, or whatever the number would be.
And simple to set up and relatively easy
Totally.
to judge.
Yep.
Easy to set up, easy to, not worrying about video, but you can get, I was envisioning trying to get a lot of people to do the events as much as possible. So you try to keep the area as small as possible. That got really difficult when we get into the quarterfinals, and I still, like, I made them and I'm still like, fuck that one. God dang it. But it is what it is. So
I do have one that's pissing me off.
Right. So I really liked it. I had fun getting those 3 in and thinking like, man, that would be a fun open to see. And then, like, actually, if you guys haven't seen the video or the show that me and Chase did yesterday about his idea of how to really make the open matter, dude, it's good. And this right here would make these events, to stuff you're talking about, Chase, would be amazing. I think it'd be really fun.
Thank you.
13-4, I like that. That's another one that that I think like hasn't been repeated. Super simple.
Yeah,
that was my first time I blacked out in a workout.
Oh dang! Serious?
Yeah, sounds like Chase's freshman year at SMU.
Second semester. First semester, I was in
I'll never. Irvin Amfoso judged me on that one, and I was like, so ready to go on that one, right? And it started with those clean and jerks, and I'll never forget. I was the what not to do model of the L1 of what a clean and jerk looks like in my first rep. Like I did. It was terrible, and I just remember Irv looking at me and just goes, "No." He was just like, "No, yeah, that was terrible. Like, what am I thinking?" Like, I was so in a hurry. I just did, like, nothing went right. I didn't even lock it out, and he just looked at me like, "No."
Yep.
Do that again. So
I got most of the way through, 6 minutes in, and then I realized that like to get to the point of the work that I really wanted, I wasn't gonna have any like rest. I was just gonna have to try and hold on. And a bunch of people from the office had just walked down, like right as I walked in, and they saw this like the minute left, and they immediately just like surrounded me,
Sweet.
and I just like, this is how I die. This is it. I'm not
Here
gonna
we
let
go.
these people down for some reason. And
Make myself right with God before I
prepare to meet Kali
free
in
sacrifice.
hell. All right, Chase, you're next.
All right. So, like you guys did, I'll preface my intent and the things I was looking at. Like a lot of you guys said, was I wanted to make it easy to manage in an affiliate, even with massive groups. I wanted as little measuring as needed. So, like a handstand walk or a shuttle run or even a wall walk, things of that nature, and very accessible as far as like equipment in any type of facility. The other part that I looked at before I programmed this is that I programmed this with an intentful setup for quarterfinals. And so I didn't change anything. That was really hard to do because I here, well,
Very.
you guys can see this. This is where I was
There
dealing
you
with
go.
for quite
Yeah.
some time.
Ooh.
And then I looked at simple math was what did 25% in the world in every test look like, or every event last year look like?
All right.
So if you wanted to be top 25% in 23.1, what did you have to do? In 23.2, B, A, I didn't look at, I just looked at the strength. And then I looked at the snatch handstand push-up one. And so for the men, I got a good idea of what the top 25%, which would be moving on to quarterfinals, what those skill sets really look like. And should I program something that doesn't cater to, but it doesn't oust so exclusively either. So I did that for men and women. So for example, for the men in 23.1, you had to do at least 2 muscle ups. All right, so they can do muscle ups. On the women, they didn't get through the cleans. All right, noted. Okay. For the thruster, 207 pounds for the men, about 127 for the women. Okay, so now I know where kind of that top 25 strength bias is. And then on 23.3, the men got through the 135 snatches, but couldn't get handstand push-ups. And for the women, no one got to the 95-pound snatches. So that's where I was looking at. Okay, so in order, I'm going to start with 11.5. And 11.5 is an AMRAP in 20 minutes of 5 power cleans at 145 and 100, 10 toes to bar, and 15 wall ball shots.
I remember
I like that one.
The only thing I didn't like about putting wall ball shots, like you have to measure it, but it's wall ball shots. It's basic. It should be in something like the Open. This is that long endeavor. This is that churning, constant Cindy-like test, except you have a we'll say a light bar, but moderate for top 25%. And looking back, I know they can cycle a 135-pound bar and a 95-pound bar, and they can thruster a 2.7 and a 125. So this is not going to out 25%. In fact, those should be fine. Toes to bar, basic gymnastic skill, one that people can do easier than I would say a chin-up or a pull-up or a chest to bar, and then wall ball shots. So you got your work capacity long test in 11.5 to start things off. And then, like the rest of you, I went to 13.1. Why? It's a 17-minute test. And what I like there without the time gates is that it allows people an opportunity to try and get that snatch that has always eluded them, right? Like you guys say your first chest to bar, bar muscle up or whatever, maybe they get their first, for the guys, 135-pound snatch, which we know they could do last year. On the women's side, nobody got 95, which is why that 45 and 75-pound weight they had at 13.1 is actually nice to see, because they'll have more opportunities to get deeper into the workout, where that 100-pound third bar is there for them. Same for the men. So I like that. I did, Sean, with you, said, let's just make it bar-facing burpees for simplicity of the organization, judging, and moving forward. So that is the only change I made across quarters and open. And then I finished with 15.5. Why? Because I, too, hate to do people do that one again. So that's where I am.
Wow, I feel pretty smart knowing that Chase and I agreed on 2 of the 3. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's
seems
move
like-
the court. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it seems like 13.1 and 15.5 were like the big like 3 out of the 4 picked
Mhm.
all of them.
I think that the fact that you have again a weightlifting movement with a simple. I mean, like when the open, burpees are going to be there.
Mhm.
That's just if you're thinking of very very basic skill, and then you get to do weightlifting. And granted, it's a technical weightlifting, but not at those weights. I mean, you can have
Yeah.
someone who's just learning how to do the snatch, and they can manage those weights,
Mhm.
which is great. So they get to be involved. And then I remember that one way back in the day, and I remember watching Rich and Dan Bailey. I think they did the snatch. And I'm like, how the hell are they moving that? They got to the 225 so damn fast. Because that was a big jump. I remember that jump.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
165 to
165
210.
yeah.
I loaded it up, and all I got was I pulled it off the ground. End time. Okay.
The deadlifts count? Like, is
Right.
You're just like, yep, that's 210.
Yep, checks out.
Oh man.
Well, so as we move to the quarterfinals now, this is to me it's where it gets a lot more tricky, because I don't know how you guys feel about this, but we talked about it a little bit. And if you're going to me, if you're letting 25% of the people in, then I don't want to see you have to nerf the programming. You need to sort to get to semis. But I think you do need to give people enough of a carrot to where they can be like, all right, I can do these. There's a sticking point for me, but I definitely want to give these a go.
Yeah.
Because if we're trying to get more people to sign up.
Yes. And we mentioned this on our podcast talking about the 25% specifically, and is that they can unequivocally 100% pull this programming off because they did it for 8 years from 2011 to 2018 in 5 weeks, 5 events. They vetted the open field of 400,000 people to regionals. They can do it.
Yeah.
And this is a better field taking the test, right? This is now the top
right.
25%, so they can for sure do it.
Okay. I guess we'll just go back to the top. I'll start. And I actually, let me find my sheet here. Okay, here we go. I actually took a couple of open workouts and threw them into the quarterfinals.
Oh, okay.
Sean flipping the switch on everybody over here. I'm like, we can do that. I wasn't going to do that. I wanted to do that.
Because to Bill, I agree with you on looking for quote unquote gateway workouts to where someone like me can say, all right, I know I can get to this point, but this is where it's going to get really challenging for me. And if I get maybe 1 or 2 reps here, I'm happy. And so I want to sign up for that. Whereas the elite are going to look at that and be like, well, I'm just going to get through the whole thing. This is very simple,
Right.
So the one, these are in no particular order, but these are the ones that I picked. 18-4, Diane, and then Diane with the handstand walk.
Yes.
Because that
Tommy
is
wants the deadlift workout there.
Yeah, right. But that's one to me. It's like there was a clear line in that workout to where just about everybody can play, right? And the elite are absolutely going to hammer it and get through the handstand walking, which I'm willing to bet that a vast majority of the people in that top 25% probably aren't very proficient at handstand walking, or can kind of do it, right? So it allows the best to really separate. Then I had the 2-parter. I had 21-3 and 21-4, and that was 15 front squats, 30 toes to bar, then 30 chest to bar. So it was like front squats, toes to bar, front squats, chest to bar, front squats, bar muscle ups. I think.
Yep.
And I think there's some thrusters in there too.
Yes.
Anyway, that was the one I really shorthanded it at this point. Then you rest 1 minute, and then you do that 1 rep max of the complex. So deadlift, clean, hang clean, jerk. So again, one where like I'm looking at it going, yeah, first couple parts of that, I'm going to get through it. I hit 30 bar muscle ups. No way I'm making that in the cap. None. But if I get 1 or 2, win for me, right? I want to pay money to be on that leaderboard. Then the next 2 I picked for quarterfinals were actually quarterfinals workouts. That was number 3 in 2021, the 120 wall balls and the 120 calories on the rower.
Yep. Very
simple floor layout, pretty easy to judge. And then I went with this one. This is a sprint. The 963 of the snatch at 185, 135, and the burpee box jump overs.
Yeah. There you go,
Sean. So good.
There you go.
Those are my quarterfinals. So I think that's 5 scored tests. And now like that last one, hey, maybe I get a 185-pound snatch. Haven't hit that weight in a while, but that's enough for me to say I just want to try to snatch that weight.
Sure.
Well, and the other thing is what's great about that, and I was thinking about this too, is if you have a really long event and it's a movement that you're not going to be able to do, you're like, shit, I got to stand here for 15 minutes trying to do this.
But
But
that's
if
okay,
it's
like-
like 7 minutes, it's like, okay, I can do
Mhm.
7 minutes. I'm not gonna be standing. I would have already picked my nose both times
Yeah.
and try to do the weight, and I'm good.
Yes.
You know, I'm not trying to make up anything at that point. So I like that event.
Okay.
That was a good call.
Tommy, quarterfinals.
All right, so this is where things get a little murky for me because I had I had because I went back and forth. I had that deadlift because it was also 20.3, I think, right? The Diane and then basically a
Yeah.
heavier deadlift but with handstand walk.
Mhm.
So I had that, and then I also had. Let me find it. I believe it was 19. It's 19.4. Yes, so it's the 2 3-rounders of snatches,
Yeah.
bar facing burpees, then bar muscle ups, and then bar facing burpees.
God, that was awful.
And then I honestly hit writer's block. I like this where I was like, I don't know where to fit because I like those two together, but then I was like, I have 3 more, and I wanted to maybe throw in something like the new total, which they did for age groups.
Mhm.
I may be mistaken on that, but with the bench press, overhead squat, clean.
Other
Yep.
total.
Yep.
Yeah,
They did that for individuals.
Yeah. Then they didn't do like the following year. Then they switch it
they switched it. Yeah,
or something like that.
but I wanted to do that as a lifting because I like the lift being a combination of 3 different things, and I like having the overhead squat in it.
100%. Yeah.
But that I'm kind of stuck there.
All right.
Those
All
were I keep trying this is where I needed to have like it mapped out a little bit better in terms of like what's off the board. But the 2 3-rounders is a little bit. It's only like a 12-minute. I think it's a 12-minute cap. The other total is going to take a long time. The first one moderate, and I'm trying to pick kind of a longer one that doesn't take too much off of the board. But those are kind of the 3 pieces that I really wanted.
All right. Well, let's see if
Dude,
Bill can pick up from there.
You want to know what's tough is there were some events over the course of the quarterfinals that were good. There were some that were obvious, complete misses. So you have to try to strike those. And then all of a sudden you're trying to put together another 5 out of a possible 15, like actual 15. You start striking them away, and then you're like, okay, well, I can't have this one because the handstand push-ups in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So like the puzzle gets really, really tight. So it was super difficult, Tommy. So don't feel like once you start getting into it, it's like,
Oh, I know. Once I did the
shit.
same thing, I'm like, there's certain moves. Like I no more shuttle runs. I don't.
I have rowing 3 times.
Yeah.
The
Well, yeah,
quarterfinal-
once you get rid of like the shuttle run thing, because for me, looking at that from an affiliate standpoint, I understand the gripe of I don't have enough floor space to make this work for my athletes. So I
Right.
kind of removed those.
Yeah,
You know,
the quarterfinals
well.
pool just isn't as big for individuals, and some of the age group quarterfinals tests I felt like were left me a little bit wanting with some of. It just seemed like it was almost too. I don't know. It felt some of the age group quarterfinal tests felt like old open workouts, but maybe in a way that like I felt like they could be a little bit more aggressive. But
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right,
All right.
You're up.
So for quarters, the way I see the quarterfinals now is I see it as the true first step for the competition season. So we allowed everyone to have fun. We allowed
We had the
everyone to
fitness
play.
fun
We
run.
had the fitness fun run. How cool
Listen,
is that, right?
That's good. It's 100% right too.
We didn't go crazy technical, but now it's time to start increasing some of the weights. It's time to increase in some of the technicality of the movement and the skill level. And so it's a little bit more demanding. Again, we're still trying to be aware of the affiliate setup as much as possible. Again, with the 15 workouts, it made it very, very difficult. So I will kick myself in my own butt because there's one that's I'm like, well, there it is, whatever. But what I liked, what I would start off with was 23-1. So the 15-minute cap, 9 front squats, the handstand walks, 15 front squats at a lighter weight, 15 ring muscle ups, 21 front squats lighter weight, 21 wall facing.
Wow.
The wall facing
okay.
handstand push.
I didn't think you'd pick that one.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
that one a lot.
I'm not saying that it's the first place. I really like the event. I really do like the event. I think that it's still a weight that the athletes could at least get the front squats. Maybe they're going to struggle on the handstand walking. We have had handstand walking in the open before at different times, like if they've made it to like the Diane one, that one that's been in there, and that one was repeated twice. So there are people that have gotten to it. I didn't do the math necessarily like Chase did to find out like exactly what happened last year, but I'm thinking that like, okay, we're going to up it a little bit. I don't think that weight's crazy. It's definitely heavier, but it's not going to necessarily be like the 275. It's like, well, I can't clean 275, so I guess I'm out. So that's what I had for the first one. Then I did 21.3, the 121 wall balls and 120 calorie row.
Yeah.
Figure we needed to have that in there. I haven't picked any of the rowing events yet, so I'm like, okay, cross that off the list. That'll be a good one. I added the other total in there as well. I think that was a good lift to have. The fact that it's 3 different lifts also kind of hedges against the complete specialist. You may have someone that's really good at bench that all of a sudden now they need to have enough flexibility to get overhead in that overhead position. So you can have, I know people that can bench a lot that cannot overhead squat shit. So I think that really kind of balances out. I mean, honestly, that should be, we call it the other total. That, and me and Chase have said, this should be the CrossFit total.
CrossFit total.
Yeah.
Even though we say the other total is kind of the strongman total.
Like ability to bench and inability to overhead squat.
Didn't know this shit was going to get personal.
Yeah, I know. Jeez.
My bad.
Screw you too, Bill.
I'm sorry. I also picked the 21.5, the snatch and the burpee box jump over. I like the setup. I like the fact that it's a sprint. I like the fact that the weights aren't completely out of range. I really like that they actually pick the right weights for once, 185 and 135, and
minus.
But the 30-inch box for the men and the women, I just think it's interesting. I mean, we never really have that. I know that we've seen the same box height if we're doing like Fight Gone Bad. Like that's technically the same box height. Chad is the same box height. So I know that one shook a lot of people, and I think this is the first time that on the women's side anyway, that's kind of like it's like, okay, you're getting the right snatch, whap, and there's your smack in the face, and then now we're going to make you jump up super high at the same time. They're not really used to jumping.
But you get a 9-foot wall ball target because,
right.
Never the other negates the other one entirely. So
Totally. And then I had no other option, and I was pissed, and Chase will probably crack up that I even put this one on there. But I had to do the wall ball shuttle run rope climb one. As much as that one, as much as it was a 22-3. Wait, did I? No.
Yeah.
Did I?
God bless Bill.
Damn it. You know how many times I was putting those things all over the place? Okay, fine. I'm going to go the 100, the 180 pistols, 9,000 GHDs.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather do that one or the row VF1? I know you're trying to
I already have row in there, though.
The long one in there.
I already have row in there, though.
Well, you're not adverse to wall balls twice, so.
Because I missed it. Now, though, I wasn't even thinking wall balls. The whole time I'm thinking, okay, shuttle runs. Okay, we know how to do them now. Rope climbs. I don't have those in there. I need to put those in there. Stupid wall balls.
All right.
Fuck it.
Those are good, man. I feel like you're going to get the right group through the semifinals with that.
Damn
the pistol GHD rope climb is like, I kept coming to it and avoiding it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that is,
that's so bad.
All right. You're up, Chase.
All right. I made some promises to myself.
Okay. How long did it take you to break them?
I kept them.
All right.
Oh, okay.
I would not program the wall ball, the GHD rope climb pistol one for every reason of why we thought that programming was terrible, why it's bad to set up an affiliate and everything. And I wouldn't program the 20-minute shuttle run rope climb one because let's just make it impossible to set up in video and watch people. And I wouldn't program V-ups. So I got a little hindered on the long one, but here's where I'm coming from. I said my open workouts vetted and supported who was qualifying to quarterfinals. And with that being said, and what Boz has been talking about, is the quarterfinals is to be an extension of the open. Therefore, in the open, I had a 20-minute AMRAP. I had a 17-minute snatch and burpee test, and then I had a high work capacity row thruster test. And everybody got to touch the barbell twice, one with a clean, one with snatches with progressing weight. So my field moving on from there with some high volume work and gymnastics should be vetted enough for what I have to come in quarterfinals.
Okay.
Now, another one of my rules that I really made this way too hard on myself is that I didn't want to program a workout that has actually already been repeated.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Oh,
So none of my repeats have previous repeats. 15.5 was quarterfinals for age group last year.
it was,
So I feel like I loopholed that a little bit, but okay, here we go. First event is 22.1, which is the dumbbell lunges for 50 reps in the farmer carry position.
yeah.
30 handstand
Like that one.
push-ups, 40 lunges front rack, 20 deficit handstand push-ups, and 30 overhead lunges and 10 deficit strict handstand push-ups. So now I'm bringing in the high skill gymnastics in its own gated format, kipping with deficit, and then strict with deficit.
I like that one.
So you
I like that one too.
We now have gymnastics with some lunges. I also put in 21.3 wall balls and rowing. Why? Because I just gave the spider monkeys their own workout. So as you guys say, the rig shakers should probably get their own somewhat of a new test, but fitness will still reign supreme between the two. I would prefer the height of the wall ball target is 10 feet for everyone, but if it's
10 feet.
25%, I still disagree. Next one is the other total, which I feel like we've all put out there. And as Bill and I have said, is like truly this actually is the CrossFit total. You have an overhead squat max, you have a clean max, and you have a bench press max. And that is taking something that is really predominantly stress of importance for the CrossFit community, one lift that is stress for importance for the powerlifting community, and one lift that is stress for importance and vitality for the weightlifting community. Therefore, you're pulling from every strength demographic into one test, which sounds like CrossFit to me. Off my horse.
I like that actually.
Thank you. Next, I have 23.5, which is deadlifts, 21, 15, 9 with increasing weight from 225 to 315 and 155 to 185. Chest to bar pull-ups, bar muscle-ups, and rope climbs. This one was the most painful one for me to program because of the rope climb.
Right.
But I only put one single movement of all 5 events that will require either space and a decent measuring. All of these other ones can be done in one single camera frame. So there's another part of the events. And you pull some heavy weight from the floor, which we haven't really done. You increase that loading, and now you increase the skill gates again using pulling gymnastics movements. So chest to bar, bar muscle up, rope climb. And then to cap it all off, something fast, something that we vetted the field to get here to begin with. And you guys have said before, 21.5, 9, 6, 3, snatches at 185 and 135, and burpee box jump overs. I would prefer the women get 24 inches for the same reason and grace that I want them to go to 10. So I'm going to stay consistent with that, but very little to zero changes. And that's my quarterfinals. Now, the gripe here is that the elites, you have a 5 to 7 minute test, 8 to 10 minute, 2 to 4, something heavy, and 4 to 6. If you're looking at the best, maybe the top 25 people. On the flip side, the majority of these people, you're looking at a 10 to 12 minute test, 12 to 15, 6 to 7, 12 to 15 in a heavy day. It's actually more balanced as far as time domain and movement patterns for the majority of the people that are signing up for this test. And even though I don't have my 20-minuter, I had a 20-minuter and a 17-1 in the open. Therefore, all-encompassing test to go to semifinals. I feel like I've hit all the bases there.
I like that.
I like the last one too. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Those two you had in the middle, they were on and off my list probably 8 different times.
Yeah.
But the
I
problem
had
is
the
that,
I had the rope climb one on there too. I was just like,
I love, like, for me, that rope climb, shuttle run, wall ball, aside from the fact that I would be good at that, I just, that one is so much fun.
Totally.
Just everything. It's almost
hard.
impossible to run.
It's hard. Yeah, it's totally hard. What was hard is the events that I had would always have, like, because I love the handstand push-up one.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh, handstand push-up. Well, I already have the handstand push-ups in that one.
Yeah.
Do I want that one still? Then I'd start to balance, like, okay, well, do I want that or do I want this? I'm like, well, I'll keep that one. And then all of a sudden, now I can't do this other one. And then you can't do this other one. You want to put this other one and you can't do that one, or you're going to have to get rid of that one over there. That's what made it hard.
And so, and so for mine, it's like, okay, I have 2 gymnastic gateways, one with inverted, one with pulling. I have light weightlifting cycling with the wall ball shots, which is what they are. And then I have light to heavy barbell cycling with the deadlifts. Right. And then I have the lunges are the lunges. Then we have something heavy with 3 different things, so it doesn't isolate someone's wheelhouse over the other. And then at the end, when you have the moderate to heavy barbell cycling with the snatches with a highly technical lift, I feel like that's a great, hey, try to get your first one. This is quarterfinals. We are now competing. And it's just a good filter to get people to semifinals.
Yeah. And I think it's important that, like, you can be more participatory in the Open. It's meant to be that way. We want everyone to join. We want everyone to be in. But when you get to the quarterfinals, it's not like, okay, now everyone doesn't get an award.
Right.
We now need to truly vet to get not just, well, we're going to get a few. It's like, no, we're cutting down the field drastically.
Yeah.
To get to now the semifinals. And that's that's where, we talk about this all the time. That the quarterfinal, especially in this setup, the quarterfinal programming is really important because of how many people you're cutting out and then moving on to that next stage. It can't just be the reason that we're programming in we're putting these particular events because we're just trying to get the top whatever number to move up to the next stage.
Yeah, like that's easy to do.
That's it. Totally. That's easy. It doesn't matter what we do. Yeah, you'll get those numbers, but you have to truly think about, like, what is the athlete pool that you want to look like to compete at each one of those stages. What does the athlete pool look like in the Open, in the quarterfinals, in the semis, and then when you get to the games?
Bill, you made a good point that I had a similar note, but not as eloquent about, like, you want to have the possibility of a first in the Open. Like, that's a big part of it, right? Like, you want to have something set up where someone who has put work in and put time under tension can potentially have those moments. And I almost feel like for quarterfinals, and this is speaking anecdotally from my own experience, I almost feel like the inverse is true. Like, I almost want there to be a point where those people that are, used to, maybe you win workouts in your gym, consistently, or you do pretty well for most stuff, you hit that spot where you were just, like, dead in your tracks. Maybe it's 40 to 60% of the way through the test. Or, like, for example, Chase's lunging workout with the strict deficit at the end, you're just physically done. You don't have the strength endurance. And, like, I remember collapsing on my head. And those are like the ones where when you get to quarterfinals, I almost feel like that experience is what is the little bit that keeps you coming back once you're past the novice phase. Like, when you're still young and early in competition, the firsts are what kind of keep you coming back. But then, like, the inability is almost what keeps me coming back. Like, damn, I don't want to feel like that again. Like, I had no idea that I couldn't just do a strict handstand push-up even when I was, tired or like that. But that's something I'm going to work on for the next year.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that, we're now at the competitors level. Then the competitor wants to know, okay, where do I stand? I think that it was rough when we had the burpee box jump over and the clean and jerk at 275 and whatever the weight was for the women. I don't think it needed to be that high to literally bitch slap everyone across the face and be like, hey, you don't belong here. I mean, I don't think it needs to be that, but I do think that there needs to be an element of, okay, if you're going to come into the big boys playroom, this is what the big kids do.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting in there and getting crushed by it. I mean, I don't think that that's a bad thing to to go completely the other way and to where it's impossible. No, you're not going to have people that want to come back, but if you bring those numbers down, and you're very aware and meticulous about the numbers that you pick, whether it's rounds and sets and skill movements or whatever, you're going to set up great races for the athletes that need to be able to advance on. And you're being able to see, okay, we know they can do these. So now when we get to semis, they should really be able to do X, Y, and Z. But then also be able to have the next group of athletes that are in there that are kicking everyone's butt in the gym, that now when they don't make it and they watch the people in the semis and in the games are like, man, so, John over here is so damn good and crushes me in every single workout, and he got crushed by those guys. So all of a sudden it sets like that relativity scale on everyone to where it's like, okay, here's really the community that we're competing in. So you're right. I think it's important to be able to have that. It's important to know your level of like, hey, I get to do my first, that weight, that skill, that number at that skill, whatever. You're right. It's not about winning. It's about, man, I just got my ass kicked. That was kind of cool. I want to come back next time and do that.
I got 2 questions that I would love for you guys to weigh in. The first has to do with the amount of time that we have now between quarterfinals and semifinals, and the amount of athletes that we're advancing, specifically on the age group side. That's going to be hard to judge and just get through all that.
Yes.
How big of I don't like degree questions, but I'm going to ask one. How big of an impact does that factor have on what you can program for quarterfinals?
Should have a giant one, honestly.
Yeah.
Does it?
Like, what do you think that, because of that time frame, like, what's off the table, if anything?
Pistols.
Yeah.
Kettlebell swings.
Yeah, I think the same ones that are typically where we are a bit more vocal of, just for online competition's sake, on the sake of judging and competing, is, I would say, things like, pistols, really light bar work.
Yeah.
Like
lightweight thrusters.
Okay.
Push-ups, chin over bar pull-ups. Like, you can do certain movements that are in the same family that just have a more clear delineation of range of motion than the others.
I also think you lose some of the aspects of, for lack of a better term, novelty that have been introduced at the quarterfinal stage the last couple of years. I know that one aspect of what Boss has done is trying to push new areas and avenues outside of like what we're used to seeing things pushed on, whether it's load or introducing new gymnastics or monostructural skills. I just don't think you can afford to create in that unknown area and expect to be able to then turn around and judge a much larger cohort.
Don't bring in a new movement and a new standard in quarterfinals.
Yeah. No, not at all. And then again, like, look at, it's not just the age groups that we're looking at. Yeah, there are going to be a lot more age group members in it, but the age group and the open division are all doing the same programming.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it's like you have to consider that sort of a setup of how do you appropriate. And again, like, the open division are not going to be doing the same weights as the 55 plus division. I'm in the 55 plus division this year, you guys.
I'm in the 50 to 54 division, Bill. I'm the young guy.
Road
to quarterfinal starts now, baby.
Roll the 35-pound dumbbells out for me.
That's what I'm saying. Here we go.
We do now.
Because they don't change it until 55 to 59, right?
Right.
Damn.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you're the young guy in the worst division.
I know, right? It's like, it's still really heavy.
They may adjust that.
Come on now.
Well, I think honestly that they need to. We'll see if Bob and the Legends guys and the pit team will really try to work more with the divisions that they have within those age groups. But I mean, Boz said that the programming is going to be the same. So generally speaking, probably up till about, I would say I would 45-ish maybe. I don't know.
I want that 35-pound dumbbell, Bill.
I'll give you mine. That's going to be really interesting to me. Like, not only is the importance of the programming on who we're vetting from this large group of people, the biggest group in this pool that we've had, to a very tight cut of semifinals at all the different divisions,
Mm.
but now we have multiple age groups doing the exact same programming. So they got the
And-
work cut out for them, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I think, and I do think there's like, yeah, once you get past the 45, maybe to 49 division, even like the allure of competing in both individual and masters maybe starts to wane. At that point, like, I don't know.
Well, I know.
shipping.
I mean, not disagreeing with that. You're totally true. But again, I'm only going by what statements were made. If they say
I
that
think
it's
it's
all
gonna
the
be
same,
different.
well, that's not what they
I
said.
mean, I think I think the events will be the same.
Mhm.
Like the
but
weights.
the weights-
Loadings.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Here's my second question: is that back in the day, like 2012 to 2018, when we were doing the Open, it never seemed like the affiliate aspect of this came into the conversation. Like, was it easy to run into your affiliate? That I don't ever remember that being explicitly talked about when we were talking about making open workouts. When did that become a factor, and what was the driving force? Was it the floor plans that sort of drove that?
It was 18-1.
It was yeah,
It was the first time with the chest to bar overhead walking lunges for 25 feet. In
25 feet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Once they started spanning the length of like your gym, that's when it came into play. But the biggest hindrance and problem came with floor plans.
Mhm.
When you limited the setup for people that had no bearing or understanding of how different every box in the world is. Like Bill, let's say he could have 10 GHDs, ropes, everything. But his affiliate is built like the terrible jigsaw piece in Tetris.
Yeah.
Pull-up rigs over here. His ropes are over here. His say the GHDs are stuck. Like he can't actually facilitate this workout because every angle in his gym is only 20 feet long. Like that's an extreme example, but
But it's a fair example,
it's,
though.
Yeah.
it's an example, right? And that's no different than say gyms that are only 1,500 square feet. Like I think your average affiliate is like 1,500 to 3,000 square feet. That's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not a lot.
And not everyone has the rig on the wall. Sometimes they're set up in the middle, so people do their lifting around. So it's like you don't. Maybe if you span the gym, you have the distance, but if the rig is not at the end of the wall on the one side, well, then I can't go to it. Do I go
Right.
12 and a half out and 12 and a half back to get my? So that's what made it really hard was the assumption that whatever the setup was going to be, it's like, oh, well, everyone can do it.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of equipment. It's like, no, but it's the space and
Yeah.
it's the way you're setting it up. And now you want to have people videoing that so that you're trying to, how are you supposed to do that?
They're
It
also
was bad enough when you had one and you tried to have the camera or the clock in the background, back in the old days before they had all the Wii times and WOD proof stuff.
yeah. And there was, I mean, up until recently, I'd say the last 5-6 years, there was also less of a external infrastructure for athletes to like basically act collectively, right? Once one, and it started to change a little bit, I would say in the 16, 17, 18 range. But once everything got kind of cast out into the open market, then like that's where I think athletes and agents started to capitalize, and then they started to have a little bit more of a collective voice. And so there was actually some pushback in a way that was meaningful, to whereas in the early years it was like, if you don't like it, take it or leave it. Like that's about it, right? It was there was no like, hey, is this reasonable to be doing, to asking the athletes, is this loading too heavy? It was like, nah, shut up, do it.
Well,
I misspoke earlier. It was 16-1,
Yeah.
not 18-1. Sorry.
Okay.
and there was never ever a discuss. I mean, look at how many times. Remember when they first put the rower in the workout?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
We're like, what?
yeah. I know.
You're forcing everyone to have to.
It was the
Hey,
chipper,
no
right?
worse than the dumbbell.
Oh man, that was
Dumbbell was the same thing. What? I got to get that weight now? I had this other setup.
We have 45s and 30s. What is this
Yeah.
50-35 stuff?
Like dumbbells everywhere were sold out for like months.
There's a great dumbbell shortage of whatever
Oh
year
my
that was,
gosh.
2018 or 17.
Yeah.
I can't remember
You get into
what it was.
conspiracy theory that like Rogue had a stockpile of
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like I just
Yeah.
throw it in that
I
shit
re-
we open, that'll clean it out.
Mhm.
Just
Yep.
Bill sitting on a Scrooge McDuck style pile of dumbbells.
Yeah, so I know that Chase on the CrossFit Games podcast that you did with Boz, he said that maybe this year it's going to be more of they're going to pull back on the floor plans, at least for the Open. I understand what you have to have for the quarterfinals, but pull back a little bit and make it more about, okay, this is what you cannot do just for safety reasons.
Yeah.
And that
I
seems
get
to make
that.
more sense.
I get that. And in the
Yeah,
Open,
yeah.
it's if the thing you put on your floor plan, like let's say my power clean, or to say it's a row thruster one, it's like don't put your bar like right in front of your rower here where you can drop it on it or you can fall back on it. Those kind of things where he's talking about safety,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Mhm.
Right? I call that Darwinism. But if we want to call it safety, so be it, right?
Oh, that'll learn them.
It's called
Yeah.
CrossFit's fail videos returns. Oh my god.
Yeah, I see no reason in the Open, especially now we're taking 25%, that someone is going to get outed because someone had their rower closer to the pull-up bar.
Agreed.
Or a wall target on their rig versus the wall that was 10 feet behind them. Like that's not going to make or break people's qualification to quarterfinals. And I even think in quarterfinals is like, you don't have to line it out that much, that specific, more of the lines of like, this is as close as you can have it.
Yeah. I think
After
that's
that,
it.
have at it.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you guys got coming up on Get With Programming?
Ooh, next week, shoot, I don't know.
I know we're like,
Something gets announced between now and then.
that would be nice.
Now and next week.
It's Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
Oh, shoot. That's right.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe we can do like I don't know, 5 events we're thankful that were programmed that
Ooh.
expanded our programming universes.
All right.
5 that I'm thankful for that I've done and I will never do again. That may be
Oh,
I have not yet listened to your latest episode where Chase, I guess you were making the Open awesome again. Is that sort of the
Yes.
all right, I'm gonna check that out. Like that's gonna be on the list today for the drive home. I'm absolutely
And what I try to do is the same vein of what we're trying to do here is not change so much that where it's like, of course, that could be your idea. Like, well, make the Open 5 weeks, scrap quarterfinals, and then put all semifinals on the same weekend at the same day and just have one leaderboard for the world and to take the top 20. Like not ridiculous things like that.
Yeah.
The idea was like simple, actionable, impactful things that I think are totally doable with very little back end time frame and work to do. That actually talking it out. Obviously, I'm a bias because of that, but like would really, I think, engage and impact people's interests in the Open and quarterfinals leading into semifinals.
I can't wait, man. I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah, I'd love y'all's. I really love y'all's thoughts and opinions on
For
that.
sure. No, I'll check it out. Guys, thanks so much for doing this. It's
Hey,
always
this is great. Thanks for
always fun to have you
I
guys
don't want to
on.
talk
Man.
about programming. How
I know, right? Yeah, that was an easy choice. But like I said, I felt kind of smart that I had some of the same choices as you because as I was sitting there last night doing this, I'm like, oh man, they're gonna laugh at me. Like this is gonna be so terrible. Like they'll be like, that guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And then I picked like 2 of the 3 same ones as Bill did. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not that dumb.
I'm in.
All right.
I'm in.
Okay.
shabby?
Fantastic. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for listening. And again, check out the Get With The Programming podcast where Chase makes the Open great again. And if you haven't listened to the episode before that where you guys actually broke down the changes, they go a lot more in depth into some of the stuff we talked about here. It was a great conversation. So please check it out. All right, that's gonna do it for us. Thanks to our sponsor today, Born Primitive. Remember, they got great specials coming up on Black Friday. You can become a VIP. Just scan that QR code in the upper left-hand part of your screen, or go back to the beginning of the episode and you can hear that address you can go to sign up for that. You get to shop the site 2 hours early before everyone else. Saving that money, taking care of Christmas, Hanukkah, the holidays, the whole 9 yards. All right, guys, that's it. For Tommy Marquez, our good friend Bill Grundler, and Chase Ingram, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other, be better, and we will talk to you guys next time.